Hello everyone, welcome to EDUHUNT video lecture series. This is Lata Krishna from EDUHUNT IIT and NEET Foundation Academy. We are discussing about microbes in human welfare. What are microbes? Microbes are nothing but microbial organisms which are found everywhere, that is in water, soil, even in air. Even in harsh environments also we find them. And why we have to discuss about microorganisms? Because they are treated as friends and foes to human beings. Because some of the microorganisms are useful, beneficial to human beings, and others are not beneficial. They are harmful. They cause diseases, various diseases, and also they cause spoilage of food and wood rotting and even spoilage of papers and all these things. And we are discussing about the useful aspects. Under that, in this session, we discuss about microbes in production of biogas. Let's see what is a biogas. Biogas is a gaseous fuel produced by the action of methanogenic bacteria, Methanococcus, Methanobacillus. These are microorganisms, bacteria, which produce methane gas. Yes, they release CO2, hydrogen, along with the methane gas, methane. So, it acts as a fuel, like we are using gas, cooking gas. There are cylinders in our kitchen. Cooking gas is there, that is compressed gas. Here in this biogas, methane is produced. Example, Methanococcus and Methanobacillus are the methane producing bacteria. Biogas is also called as swamp gas or landfill gas and marsh gas, depending on where it is produced. And the production of biogas results in the formation of stabilized residue that acts as the fertilizer. If we see a biogas plant, we have to give an input to that. That is organic material. Organic waste must be provided to the biogas plant. And we also keep the microorganisms like methanobacteria in that digester. These microorganisms act on that dung or organic waste. They convert that organic waste into these CO2, methane and hydrogen. They release the methane gas. And there will be an outlet through which the methane gas released. It is connected to the usage point. Anyway, in this, stabilized waste is generated, stabilized residue is generated that acts as a fertilizer, biofertilizer or organic fertilizer. We can use this, we can give it to the garden, plants in the garden. Biogas can be easily stored to provide more efficient source of fuel or energy, which has wider uses than the traditional gas. Because in production of conventional gas, we use some chemicals. In factories, they use some chemicals. They are harmful to environment. But in case of biogas, completely organic matter gets digested because of the activity of biological microorganisms. And it works based on the process called the anaerobic respiration. The bacteria which are anaerobes. What is meant by anaerobic bacterium? Anaerobic is nothing but they respire without utilizing oxygen in the atmosphere, in the environment. We breathe oxygen in and we liberate CO2 out. So we inhale and exhale. This is called breathing. Respiration. Respiration, we respire, we take oxygen in and liberate CO2 out. This is called aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is a respiration where oxygen is involved in breathing. But these organisms, they, without utilizing the oxygen, they release CO2, they release hydrogen, they release alcohols and some gases like methane. These are called anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic, anaerobic. Aero means gas, and no. These organisms do not utilize oxygen and they digest the organic waste and release the methane gas like methane. And fermentation, they cause the fermentation of the organic matter, including the manure and sewage sludge, the waste from the sewage, municipal solid waste and biodegradable waste or any other biodegradable feedstock under anaerobic conditions. Without utilizing oxygen, they act on these organic matter, organic products, organic materials like sewage waste, any biodegradable waste. They produce gas that acts as fuel. And dung can also be used for generation of biogas and commonly called the gobar gas. If the dung is used as an input material for the biogas plant, for production of biogas, then it is called gobar gas. If we use the dung as an input material, the starting material, then the gas, that is the biogas produced or released, is known as gobar gas. And a biogas plant has a large concrete or a brick lined container, cylindrical tank called the digester. As I said, we need to keep the input, the organic material, into a tank like structure, the container called the digester, and it has a charge pit for passage of slurry or another digesting material, a floating gas holder of metal with an outlet, that is, I said outlet for gas, and a pit for removal of the sludge. I'll show you the structure. Yes, this is a diagram of biogas plant. In this picture, you can see clearly, this is the way, that is outlet from which the gas liberated, and dung, water, sludge, it is a gas holder, it is the digester, it is input. Through this, we give the input to the digester, where the bacteria act on the organic matter and it releases the gas like CO2 and methane. And after digestion, the waste product or the byproduct is collected here in this sludge, and we can keep it, we can use that byproduct as an organic fertilizer. This is about the biogas plant, and through this plant, if the input is dung, then the biogas liberated or generated is known as the gobar gas. Otherwise, we call it as a biogas. Biogas means biologically produced gas by the action of microorganisms like methane generating microorganisms, methanococcus and methanobacillus. Anyway, next is oil spill. Oil spills, we can see అంటే సముద్రాల్లోని అది ఆయిల్ క్యారీ చేసేటప్పుడు sometimes it may get leaked because of any accident. It will be cleaned by some microorganisms, by genetically engineered species of microorganisms like Pseudomonas potita. Pseudomonas potita is a genetically engineered organism, microorganism. It's a bacterium, and so it has the capacity to metabolize 4 major hydrocarbons of petroleum. We know that petroleum is a hydrocarbon, and it can act on 4 different hydrocarbons of petroleum like camphor, octane, xylene and naphthalene. It can digest, it can split these petroleum products, these hydrocarbons of petroleum. That is why the bacterium which is genetically engineered called Pseudomonas potita is used when there is an oil spill, especially on the seas. Because of that oil spills, sometimes if there is a layer of oil on the surface of water, the sunlight may not get penetrated in the deep waters of the ocean. That is why the organisms, the flora and fauna may not survive because of insufficient sunlight. To that, what scientists do is they release this genetically engineered bacterium to digest that petroleum products. Anyway, and next one is microbes as biocontrol agents. Biological control agents. What is meant by biological control? Biological control is nothing but control of insects, controlling diseases using biological organisms, controlling not the diseases exactly, controlling insects, pests using biological organisms like bacteria and fungi. This control is known as biological control, and bacteria, sometimes virus, may act as biological control agents. It is the latest trend to minimize the use of poisonous chemicals and achieve better result through the integrated method involving combination of biological, cultural and control methods and use of predators and animal composite microorganisms such as bacteria, as I said, virus to control insect, pests and pathogens, and even weeds also is called biological control, and biological controlling agents, control agents called biological control or biocontrol agents. As I mentioned, the weeds, even pests, insects can be controlled using bacteria and viruses. Bioherbicides. What are weeds? Weeds are nothing but the plants which grow in the fields other than the crop. క్రాప్తో పాటు ఉండే కలుపు మొక్కలు, మనం వేసింది ఒక వరి అనుకుందాం, వరిలో ప్యాడీ ఫీల్డ్స్లో కొన్ని మొక్కలు మొలుస్తూ ఉంటాయి కదా, దే ఆర్ నోన్ యాజ్ వీడ్స్, కలుపు మొక్కలు అంటాం. సో ఈ వీడ్స్ని కంట్రోల్ చేయాలి. వీడ్స్ని కంట్రోల్ చేయకపోతే వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్, కాంపిటీషన్ వస్తుంది. వీడ్స్ని కనుక మనం కంట్రోల్ చేయకపోతే కాంపిటీషన్ వస్తుంది ప్లాంట్స్కి, క్రాప్ ప్లాంట్స్కి, ఈ వీడ్స్కి. బికాస్ వీడ్స్ ఆల్సో ట్రై టు టేక్ అప్ ద ఫర్టిలైజర్. సో వీ నీడ్ టు యాడ్ more quantities of fertilizers to reduce that. For the proper growth and development of the crop plants, we need to eradicate these weeds. We need to control these weeds. Sometimes it might be a big problem to, big headache to farmers. For that reason, they use herbicides to control the weed growth. And హెర్బిసైడ్స్ వాడారు అనుకోండి, హెర్బిసైడ్స్ ఆర్ కెమికల్స్ని యూజ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే దే మే గెట్ డిపాజిటెడ్ ఆన్ ద ప్రొడ్యూస్, దే మే గెట్ డిపాజిటెడ్ ఆన్ ద సాయిల్. అండ్ వర్షాలు వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆ సాయిల్ కొట్టుకుపోయినప్పుడు వాటర్ బాడీస్లో ఈ ఫర్టిలైజర్స్, ఈ కెమికల్ పెస్టిసైడ్స్, కెమికల్ హెర్బిసైడ్స్ ఇవన్నీ నీటిలో కలిసిపోతూ ఉంటాయి. కలిసిపోతూ ఉండడం వల్ల సాయిల్ హెల్త్ దెబ్బతింటుంది అండ్ వాటర్ కూడా కంటామినేట్ అయిపోయింది, పొల్యూట్ అయిపోయింది. వాటర్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ లైక్ ఫ్లోరా కూడా దెబ్బతింటాయి. సో పొల్యూషన్ అయ్యే ఛాన్స్ ఉంది. కాబట్టి మనం బయోలాజికల్ ఏజెంట్స్ని ఎలా అయితే బయో ఫర్టిలైజర్స్ యూస్ చేసామో ఇక్కడ బయో పెస్టిసైడ్స్, బయో హెర్బిసైడ్స్ మనము యూస్ చేసి కంట్రోల్ చేస్తాం. అండ్ ఫస్ట్ బయో హెర్బిసైడ్ వాస్ డెవలప్డ్ ఇన్ 1961 and it was a mycoherbicide. Myco means fungal. Mycoherbicide is a herbicide derived from the fungus Phytophthora palmivora. Phytophthora palmivora, which is a fungus, and a herbicide was designed from this fungus. It is called a mycoherbicide, not micro, it is myco, M-Y-C-O. Myco means fungus. Myco అంటే fungus. It is produced and it has a control over growth of milkweed vines in citrus orchards. Milkweed vines growth ni ఇది కంట్రోల్ చేస్తుంది ఈ myco herbicide. And another example of biological control of weed is the control of overgrowth of lacti by introduction of cochineal insect, that is Cactoblastis cactorum. Cactoblastis cactorum. It is used against to control the growth of lacti. It is used in India and even in Australia. It is a biological weedicide. Weedicide means the one which kills weed. And ladybird and dragonflies are useful to get rid of aphids and mosquitoes respectively. And ladybirds, dragonflies ఇవేం చేస్తాయంటే ఈ ఎఫిడ్స్ని తినేస్తాయి. ఎఫిడ్స్ ఏం చేస్తాయి, ఎఫిడ్స్ హ్యావ్ అ లాంగ్ ప్రొబోసిస్. అంటే మనకి మస్కిటోస్ ఎలా అయితే బ్లడ్ని సక్ చేస్తాయో, ఎఫిడ్స్ ఆల్సో సక్ ద సాప్ ఆఫ్ ద ప్లాంట్స్. సో టు కంట్రోల్ దీస్ ఎఫిడ్స్ అండ్ మస్కిటోస్, dragonflies and ladybirds, they act on these, they feed on these. The BT cotton, BT means Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a bacterium. Bacillus, yes, it is given here. Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, is a short form of Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a bacterium which is used as a biopesticide. It acts on the caterpillars. Yes, butterfly caterpillars. ఈ caterpillars-ని ఇదేం చేస్తుందంటే Bacillus thuringiensis, they produce crystal proteins. It's not given here, I think. Yeah, they produce crystal proteins. ఈ క్రిస్టల్ ప్రోటీన్స్ ఏం చేస్తాయంటే whenever they feed on the leaves, whenever they feed on these proteins, ఈ ప్రోటీన్స్ ఈ క్యాటర్పిల్లర్ గట్ని, ఈసోఫాగస్ గట్ ఉంటుంది కదా, డైజెస్టివ్ సిస్టమ్, దే డ్రిల్, దే మేక్ హోల్స్ ఇన్ ద డైజెస్టివ్ సిస్టమ్. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దాట్ ద క్యాటర్పిల్లర్స్ డై. So it happens because of the crystal proteins secreted by Bacillus thuringiensis. And it is sprayed on plants like brassica and fruit trees మీద స్ప్రే చేస్తే క్యాటర్పిల్లర్స్ వచ్చినా ఇవి తిని చనిపోతాయి. కాబట్టి బయోలాజికల్ కంట్రోల్ అనేది, అంటే కంట్రోల్ ఆఫ్ క్యాటర్పిల్లర్స్ యూజింగ్ అనదర్ బయోలాజికల్ ఆర్గానిజం, దట్ ఈస్ బ్యాక్టీరియం. అంటే బయోలాజికల్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ని పెస్ట్లు, ఇన్సెక్ట్లు, వీటిని కంట్రోల్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. కాబట్టి దీన్ని బయోలాజికల్ కంట్రోల్ ఆర్ బయో కంట్రోల్ అన్నాము. అండ్ ద ఏజెంట్స్ దట్ ఆర్ యూస్డ్ అగేన్స్ట్ కంట్రోలింగ్ ద insect pests or weeds are known as biocontrol agents. They release some toxin, beta toxin antamu, beta endotoxins they release and kill the larvae. Bt cotton has Bacillus thuringiensis toxin genes and such plants are resistant to attack by insects. ఈ proteins ala release అవుతున్నాయి because of presence of certain genes, Bt genes, toxin genes. These toxin genes, they synthesize endotoxins, delta endotoxins, crystal proteins. These toxins, they act on the caterpillars and they kill the caterpillars. And another example is Trichoderma species. These are free living fungi. Indak chusindi Bacillus thuringiensis is a bacterium, whereas it is an example of fungus that are common in root ecosystem. These fungi, they are associated with the root external surface and they are effective biological control agents of several plant pathogens. They protect the plant roots against some pathogens. Baculoviruses, they belong to genus nucleopolyhedrosis virus and are pathogenic. These are pathogenic virus which infect and kill many insects, insect pests and other arthropod pests. These are for species specific and narrow spectrum insecticidal application. Narrow spectrum means they are specific in nature. They act on a specific targeted action is there. They act on a specific organism against a specific organism. That is why we say that it is narrow spectrum in range and narrow spectrum insecticidal in application and species specific in nature, and these are viruses, nucleopolyhedrosis viruses. They act on these organisms and they kill the organisms. Advantages of biological control agents are specific in nature and narrow spectrum in application and no negative impact on plants and mammals, birds, fish and other organisms because they are biological agents. Beneficial insects are conserved to aid in overall integrated pest management. అంటే ప్లాంట్స్కి కొన్ని యూస్ఫుల్ ఉంటాయి, కొన్ని హార్మ్ఫుల్ ఉంటాయి. స్పెసిఫిక్గా ఇవి హార్మ్ఫుల్నే చంపుతున్నాయి కాబట్టి దే యాక్ట్ ఆన్ అ స్పెసిఫిక్ ఇన్సెక్ట్. దట్ ఈస్ వై మొత్తం అన్నిటి ఇన్సెక్ట్ని చంపేస్తే అప్పుడు డేంజర్. మనకు అవసరమైనవి అవసరం లేనివి కూడా చనిపోతున్నాయి కాబట్టి బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ స్పెసిఫిసిటీ వీ కెన్ happily use these biological control agents. And where an ecological sensitive area is being treated. And with this I have finished the concept of microbes in human welfare, that is in production of biogas as well as biocontrol agents. I hope you understood well and all the best for your examination point of view. Read well, understand and remember the questions and the concept. All the best.